Do you ever feel haunted by the sense that you're not enough unless you're becoming something? That there's an invisible clock ticking inside you, demanding progress, recognition, transformation, even when you're not sure into what? The need to be someone sounds noble, but why does it sometimes feel like drowning while smiling? Keep watching, because by the end of this, you won't just understand it. You'll recognize the quiet war between who you are and who you think you're supposed to be. And maybe for once, it'll make sense why that war never really meant something is wrong with you. It starts early, doesn't it? Some invisible line where being becomes performing. When you're young, all you had to do was exist. Laugh a little too loud, trip over your words, cry because the sky looked lonely. No one asked what your plans were. You were allowed to just be. Until one day, you weren't. The questions started to land like stones in your chest. What do you want to be when you grow up? What are you doing with your life? And underneath them, the quieter but heavier ones. Are you enough yet? Are you becoming someone people will see? If you've ever held your breath at the sound of those questions, you're not alone. We all do in some way. The pressure to build a self that others will understand, it becomes suffocating. Keep watching, because the weight you're carrying may not be your fault. And there's clarity in knowing where it came from. We don't just want to be someone for ourselves. That's the hardest part to admit. We want to be someone in the eyes that look back at us, through family, through lovers, through classmates, through the reflection in a stranger's passing glance. There's a deep loneliness in being unacknowledged. And so, without knowing it, we begin to construct, piece by piece, a version of ourselves that we hope the world will applaud. But inside, we're often unsure whether that version is real and whether we're allowed to step outside it. Feeling like an imposter isn't a flaw in your mindset. It's a symptom of building a self around expectations instead of essence. And when the applause fades, the silence feels louder than before. This need to be someone creeps into every corner of how we move. We don't scroll through photos, we scroll through ideals we think we're supposed to match. We don't compare lives, we compare perceived worth. And every time someone else seems ahead, something inside whispers, "You're behind. Hurry. Become." But what if that feeling doesn't mean you failed? What if it means you're trying to fit into a story that was never yours in the first place? Somewhere in the chase for identity, we lost the map back to stillness. Stay with this because the stillness holds a truth you might have been craving for years. You can feel it most during quiet moments, when the noise fades and you're alone with your own breath. That subtle ache, like you're supposed to be more by now. That maybe, if you had done things differently, studied harder, spoken louder, chosen a better path, you'd be enough already. But the truth is, we're all haunted by versions of ourselves that never existed. And when they echo in your head, they feel like failure. But they're just ghosts of borrowed definitions. That pressure isn't born from the soul. It's born from the fear of being invisible. And that fear runs deep, doesn't it? It's not just about success. It's about being seen, being remembered. Feeling like your existence isn't just passing through time like smoke. We anchor our worth to milestones. Career titles. Praise. The perfect sentence spoken at the right time. Followers. Attraction. Achievements. We think if we can just collect enough, we'll shape the self we were meant to be. But the self isn't found in the applause. It's found in the silence after. How you feel in the mirror when no one's watching. If your chest tightens at that thought, you're not broken. It means you're still trying to come home to yourself. And yet, we keep trying. We perform even when our hearts are tired. Smile when we feel empty. Say, "I'm good," when holes are opening beneath the surface. Because deep down, we worry that if we stopped performing, we'd disappear. This sense of needing to be someone isn't just ambition. It's self-preservation. A shield. A voice that says, "Please don't forget me." It's exhausting to keep it up, but terrifying to let it go. What if I stop striving and I lose everything? What if this identity I've built is the only thing holding me together? These aren't questions of laziness. They're the cries of a soul trying to prove it matters. And the world doesn't make it easy to rest. Everywhere you look, you're reminded of the versions of yourself you haven't reached. She's already a CEO. He found his passion before 25. They're married, traveling, building, glowing. Where does that leave you? On the outside, even if you're moving forward, even if your hands are full, because being someone was never about motion. It was about meaning. And when you don't feel meaningful, every movement feels hollow. It never mattered how far you ran. If you didn't feel it inside, it always felt like standing still. We tie our identity to things that don't last. And when they fade, jobs, relationships, roles, we panic. Because without them, who are we? The breakup, the layoff, the illness, the plan falling apart, they don't just steal our circumstances. They threaten our entire sense of self. That's why grief cuts so deeply. Not just because we lost something out there, but because we lost someone in here. And rebuilding isn't just about moving on. It's figuring out how to be when the role you played no longer makes sense. Keep watching. Because understanding that loss doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're peeling back the mask you were never meant to wear. You were never supposed to be someone in the way the world defines it. You were just meant to be. But that word, just, feels too small, doesn't it? It feels like settling. We think peace is giving up. That contentment is mediocrity. So we resist stillness. We keep running, keep curating, keep adding layers until we can't hear our own voice beneath the noise. Not because we're vain, but because we're scared of what we'll find if the noise stops. What if I'm no one without becoming something? And yet, have you noticed how the most magnetic people are the ones who aren't trying so hard to be anything at all? They walk slower, talk softer, break into laughter without warning. They don't impress you. They make you feel something. Freedom tastes like that, like breathing without performing. But to reach that, you often have to pass through the fire of being misunderstood, of letting go of the version of you that everyone liked, the one that fit nicely into a sentence. That's terrifying, because we all want to be seen, but not at the cost of being misseen, so we stay in the shell, even when it hurts, even when we're screaming inside. But sometimes the shell cracks, almost always through pain. Loss of love, failure, rejection, your name on a list you never wanted to be on. And in that raw, disoriented grief, there's a strange kind of light, like silence opening a door. You realize you've been performing for people who left the theater years ago, building a self to survive a world that never stopped to know the real you. And for once, you're too exhausted to lie. So you say what you really mean. You rest without earning it. You let someone see the mess, and their eyes don't flinch. That moment, when your most unfiltered self is met with warmth, is where everything changes. That's the paradox, isn't it? We spend our lives trying to prove we're someone, and lose the very parts that make us human, trying to win love by controlling perception. But love never came from being impressive. It came when you laughed inappropriately, when you forgot your lines, when your heart broke open, and someone sat beside the pieces instead of asking you to clean it up. Halfway through life, or heartbreak, or burnout, we start to see through the illusion. The resumes, the roles, the identities that shimmer in the light, but weigh so much in the dark. And in that cracked space, a longing is born. Not to be greater, but to be honest. Perhaps the longing to be someone isn't about elevation, but connection. Not shining, but being held. Not applause, but understanding. And that longing won't be met on the stages we've built. It will be met in quiet kitchens, in slow mornings, in the hesitation before you say, I'm not okay. Are you listening? Because that's what you've been aching for. Not a spotlight, a soul echo. A place to be real without being edited. Let that longing stay. Don't rush to conquer it. Let it ache. Let it breathe. Because when you stop trying to be someone, you begin to come home. To the self that was never missing, just buried under performances. That self won't always be loud. It won't always win medals. But it will be free. Free to enjoy moments without documenting them. Free to rest without guilt. Free to speak truths that tremble. And when you meet someone else doing the same, something in you softens. Because you see it in their eyes. They've been through the same unbecoming. We recognize each other like that, in the quiet. So if you're spiraling right now, feeling like you're wasting time, falling behind, not enough, pause, listen. Not to the world. To the small voice left inside that says you are not failing. You're feeling. You are remembering a part of yourself that existed before the labels. You are not empty. You are in between. And being in between is sacred. It means something is shifting. Something honest is returning. Keep going, not to arrive anywhere, but to stay with what's real. Because maybe being someone was never the point. Maybe the real self isn't something you build. It's something you let be seen.